Thanks to the Old Unreal team and Epic giving their blessing to Old Unreal to become the official distribution and updater place for Unreal Tournament games, Unreal Tournament 2004 is back, and it is glorious. We've already had a whole Discord community game night rocking out in some servers and having a blast, but the one thing I've noticed when jumping on to play casually for myself is that there is not a whole lot of quality servers available. Either they're still on the older versions, there's a ton with mods and really slow downloads, or just not a lot of low ping ones available to me. So I have been on a quest to host more servers to help build back the infrastructure for this older game, because I think this is how we take back ownership in the multiplayer FPS space, and I think it's really important. And I've gone through a couple different ways to host some servers, and I did just post a video yesterday at the time of recording walking through a lot of the ways that I host various servers and services and things like that, and using both the Hetzner Cloud that I mentioned and Netcop, I do actually already have a pretty good stack of Unreal Tournament 2004 servers available for US East. I will have the information for that linked in the description below, and I'm hosting one in the central US area based on this tutorial, but I wanted to show you how to host your own server, because you can do it for free as long as you keep some caveats in mind, and that means we can get more servers going with more cool stuff ready to rock. So let's go check it out. All right, I will have a written guide in the description down below if you wish to check it out, but you will need an active Google account because we'll be using Google Cloud for this, so make that if you don't have one already, and you get one of these servers for free. And we're gonna have to do some caveats to make sure you don't actually spend your money. So, first and foremost, if you haven't made a Google account, make it. Then go to console.cloud.google.com, set your country, and accept the terms of service to make a Google Cloud account. Then you can choose My First Project if you haven't used this before. If you have, then you'll need to make a new project and give it a name. Then we'll go down here to Compute Engine and VM Instances. And enable Compute Engine API. When you click this, it will say that billing needs to be enabled. You can click Enable Billing. This will be for free, and we're going to set up a spend alert, so if it even costs you a penny, you're going to get notified, but we do have to enable this. So enable billing and set up a billing account if you don't have one already. Set your country, accept the terms of use, blah, blah, blah. I already have one set up and added a payment method, so you can choose Start Your Free Trial if you haven't done this before. This will take a couple minutes to actually reflect. So give it 5 or 10 minutes after you make your billing account, then refresh all of this, go back to create VM instance, enable Compute Engine API, enable billing, and choose your billing account from that dropdown once it's had time to propagate here. Once it's enabled, the Compute Engine, which may take a couple minutes, you'll see a little spinning circle in the top right. Once that's done and it's enabled, click the little terminal icon here to open your Cloud console or your Cloud shell. Now you'll need to go to the GitHub link in the description for the GitHub gist to get the console commands we're going to run here. The first one we're going to copy and paste is just enabling the firewall rules for the Unreal Tournament server to be accessible outside of Google's network, which is going to be required, as well as the ports for your web UI for admin management and things like that. The second command you'll want to first paste into a text editor because we need to replace project ID, including the brackets there, with your project ID from your project's list here. It's also the same as the name that shows up in your little cloud console. So for mine, it's UT2004-tutorial. Paste that over project ID with the brackets. And then for zone, you have some free zones available to you, and you just pick based on which area you are in the United States. So US-Central 1-ABCF, US-East 1-BCD, or US-West 1-ABC. I would recommend just picking from the list you see on screen or in the written guide. Since I already have some US East servers, I went ahead and chose US Central 1A as my zone. So again, replace the word zone as well as the brackets with that zone name. So for mine, it is US-Central 1-A. Now copy all that code out of your text editor and paste it into the Cloud Shell terminal and hit enter to run it. This will only take a minute or two for this stage of it, and then it will take you back to the prompt. The actual Unreal Tournament 2004 server setup script that it's running in the background will take about 15 to 20 minutes depending on the time of day that you run it. I recommend running this while you go out for lunch or overnight or whatever. And to check on the progress, you can then click in your project list here. You may need to refresh and open up a SSH terminal. Click authorize. And then you can do sudo tail/root/ut2004_setup.log. And you can just refresh this. You can set up a watch command for it, but it did kind of break during the download process. Effectively, the longest part of this setup is actually waiting for the server files to unzip from the tar archive. So you can just every 5 or 10 minutes, just hit the up arrow and rerun the tail command to check on the log. And once it says setup successful flag file created, your server's setup is done. And you could connect to it like this. However, you probably want to change some admin details. So for that, we're going to need to manage the server. That is done with a different user than you are currently SSH'd into. So first, we're going to check out /temp/UT2K4 server password. And that is going to give you the password for the UT2K4 server user. Write this down. Then back at the terminal, we're going to do SU space UT2K4 server, which is the user. It's going to ask for that password we just looked at. Go ahead and enter that. And now you are logged into the Unreal Tournament 2004 server user. We're going to stop the server with /UT, and then you can hit tab to finish it. UT2K4 server. SP is the stop command. You can check out the Linux GSM page linked in the guide or in the description to see all the different commands you can do for managing the server, but we do want to actually edit the server INI file in order to change some settings. So for this, we'll cd into server files, cd into system, and then we'll just nano ut2k4 server.ini. Scroll down a bit. We'll want to change the server name and description and message of the day. We're also going to want to change your admin user and password if so desired. You can also change this in the web UI when you're done. Change a couple details like that. I named mine Lost Saves US Central Deathmatch, and then a short name for it, and then gave it a message of the day, and also changed my admin username here. Hit Control-O to write out that file, hit Enter to save it, and then Control-X to exit. We're going to cd back to our main home directory, and then /UT2K4 server, ST to start it. And once it's done running that command, you can do /UT2K4 server DT to view details on it, which is going to show you a link to check to see if your server is working, the IP address of your server, as well as the admin details. Obviously, change these passwords and don't tell anyone. Then you can go to your server IP, which may not be the correct IP that is listed in the web server details. You want your actual game server IP you would connect with. Copy that into your URL bar of your browser, and then the port 8075 will take you to the web admin URL. There you can use your admin username and password that you either set up, or the default is just admin. Here you can change which game mode you're running, the maps that are running, whether you have bots. You can also change your message of the day and stuff here, other server-based rules, and set up a variety of details for your server. Then the server is being broadcast out to the master OpenSpy servers and will show up in people's game lists, or you can manually connect to it in the game via the IP address. Also, if you have a domain name, you can set up a subdomain to point to this so that people don't have to remember the whole number scheme when you go to tell people. So you can, for example, in my Namecheap domain list here, I go to Advanced DNS, I set up an A record. I'll use UT4 since I have a bunch of UT servers as my subdomain, and then the IP address as the target. And then once that propagates, ut4.instagib or instagib.gg is the domain name that you will just have to put into Unreal Tournament, and you will connect to my server. Now, this is only going to be free if you don't pass your 200 gigabyte bandwidth limit per month, which is a substantial amount for a game server. That should be no problem. However, that means you want to be careful with the maps that you use, because there is no way to disable map downloads on the server. So if someone connects to it and you have listed a map that is not commonly available, or they do not have available, they will download it from your server. And if enough people do that, you will blow through your bandwidth and it will actually start costing you. So I would recommend using vanilla maps here. On my personal server, I've set up through this method. I've also just pointed it to a separate download server, so I don't have to worry about that. But that's besides the point. If you do want to be sure that you are not getting charged basically anything for this. You can actually set up an alert if your billing account costs more than 1 cent so that you can go and stop the server. To do this, go back to your actual cloud console here in the Google Cloud UI. You're going to say gcloud billing accounts list, which is going to give you your billing account ID that you made. You want to look for the one that says open equals true. Copy down that account ID. Then you're going to do a command that says gcloud billing budgets create -- billing - account equals that account ID -- display - name equals quote unquote spend alert -- budget - amount equals 0.01 USD -- threshold - rule equals % equals 1.0 comma basis equals current - spend. Obviously, this will be in the description and in the written guide form, but put that in there and it will create an alert for you that tells you when your server costs more than 1 cent. That way you can shut it down, but otherwise it will be free. The beauty is that even if you do want to set up map downloads or whatever, Google Cloud charges by the hour. So if you only need to spin it up for a community game night or something, you can just run it for a few hours for that night. It's only going to cost you a few cents, and then you can keep it powered off and keep it offline until your next community game night, wherein you can spin it up again. This will remain free, and you can leave it up indefinitely as long as you stay under that 200 gigabyte limit. But if you are getting pushed past that 200 gigabyte limit and you leave it up indefinitely, you will be getting charged for this. So keep that in mind. Keep checking on your cloud console. I am not responsible for what this costs you. This is just the way to leverage Google's free server abilities as long as you are responsible with it. That's it. Host some servers. Use the website GameDate to start planning some group sessions with friends so that everyone can see what's going on and we can get some more activity going. I think between Ode Unreal, tools like GameDate, and the ability to host your own servers, we can bring the fun back to online multiplayer shooters in a way that we have not had in about 10 years now. And I am really, really stoked for that. So join us on the servers that I have hosted, linked in the description down below and on the forums. Let us know what you think. And if you're new to Unreal Tournament or arena shooters in general and you're not sure about the server browser or how to play this style of shooter in the first place, I've had some comments about that already. I do have a video paired with this over on Lost Saves where I walk you through kind of the basics of arena shooters using the server browser, changing your settings, the customization, and all of that. So go check out that video as well. And remember, be kind, rewind.